what's most phenomenal right now is that I don't have to spend a lot of time describing why I've spent the last 25 years dedicated to this organization. Because all of you sitting here, if this is your first year at Pennsylvania AFERD, what just happened with Rick Stevenson receiving this lifetime award is the feeling that you get upon your first convention. And I am so lucky to share that evening with you tonight, Rick. I'm so proud of you and I'm so honored to be your friend. So to stand up here now is an honor and a privilege, even more so because of you. So thank you. A lot of people took my speech away tonight by staying on the thing, so it might be a little shorter than we said, but I only get 10 minutes anyway. I'd like to thank a couple of people first. First person I'd really like to thank is my wife, Maureen Cunningham. She wasn't here at my first convention, but she was here in 1995, and she is the reason why I'm standing up here today, because she puts up with a lot. And she's put up a lot through her PhD program, through changing jobs, through going through my anxiety issues, stressors, and type A personality. And nothing would be possible without her. She is my rock, and she always will be. Sitting in the audience tonight, it's very humbling to be here, but when I look around the room and I see people like Judy Lobianco, my Jersey, New York friend, and somebody else I'm going to mention makes up the third trifecta of our New York side here, but Judy Lobianco, President of Shape America, is here when I receive an award. She's a good friend of mine, and she's an outstanding professional, and I can only imagine, I can't even imagine what it's like to be you. At the same time, sitting in the audience is Irene Kuchina, a past Shape America president, who I became friends with a very long time ago through her presidency of what was AFERD then and Shape America now. And for her to be sitting in the audience is an honor for me. And between the two of you, I'm so honored to have you as my colleagues and my friends. Also sitting in the audience, and this is part of the nostalgia for me. When I came here in 1993 as a grad student from East Stroudsburg University, I had come from Springfield College in Massachusetts, and I got to put a shout out to Chick and Nancy Hungerford as alma maters of Springfield. There's not many of us here, so it's so nice to see you. And they're celebrating their 65th reunion at Springfield College. I have that right, correct? 65th reunion. I'm celebrating my 25th. Very exciting. When I came here, my first convention, I was welcomed into this organization as if I had been here for years. People like Linda and Fran and Rick and Louie and John and Doris and Linda and Marion and Chick and some other people that aren't here tonight. But I know that, and unfortunately some have passed away, but I know those that have passed away, especially this year Marion Sutter and 2 years ago, our dear friend Tom Cobb, are looking down tonight with big grins, clinking their glasses and saying cheers, and saying thank you for letting our legacy live on, and the traditions of Pennsylvania AFERD are still holding strong. So they may be gone, but they certainly are watching. I am both honored and humbled to be standing here tonight among all of you who share the love, passion, and commitment for improving wellness among all children and communities. We are here as one. My presidential theme in 2012 was one. Oh, by the way, I'm not done with thank yous. Those are just the intro thank yous. Okay, so don't think you've been forgotten. You haven't. Okay, in which we live, and that's why we're all here tonight, because our passion for us to do better, for children to do better, for us to live in a more healthy society in Pennsylvania, in our communities, and in the United States. And that's why we're sitting here tonight. It's not really about us. That's why I want an abbreviated bio, because anything that's in my bio, you can read in the program, and anything that's in that bio is in there because of my love for Pennsylvania AFERD, my opportunity to work with everybody at Pennsylvania AFERD. And the reality is there's not one thing in my bio that isn't with the help, assistance, and motivation of somebody else, because there are no accomplishments that we get on our own. Joe, what was our keynote speaker's name? San Filippo. I just want to say Filippo, but it's San Filippo. He said, tell your story. And I'm going to take a moment to tell my story. And 3 years ago when I was standing here, I didn't share my story. And it's going to be a very short story. But when I was a child, in his keynote speak, he said that every child has a story when they're in school, and every adult has a story as they're a teacher. And my story isn't very exciting, but it wouldn't be one that would lead you to become a teacher. I grew up, when I was in kindergarten, they did a test on me and they said, and you're not going to believe this, I know, that I was incredibly introverted. I was anxious, and I was nervous. And so they were going to, and I was a lefty, and I didn't go to Catholic school, but they were going to put me in a special education program. And back then, it wasn't mainstream. We're going back to the 1970s. And it was my best friend's mom that said, you're not putting her in special ed. There's nothing wrong with her. And for whatever reason, they persuaded me to go into mainstream education. And my report cards always said she was anxious and she was nervous. But nobody ever asked me why. And why was I anxious and nervous when I was a child? I was anxious and nervous because I was growing up in a household where there was a lot of fighting, there were mental health issues, there was alcoholism, there was love, and there were fun times, but it wasn't always easy. However, when I was in school, and I have stories like many of you in here, I had a health and physical education teacher named Marianne Grimner who took people that she saw that had maybe strong athletic skills, and they had this, what they called an advanced gym class. And I'm using the word gym on purpose because that's what they called it. It was an advanced gym class. And you can spend the end of your day for 45 minutes playing in the gym. And the teacher started to say, as long as you put a ball in this kid's hand, she can do anything. So as long as I was participating in athletics, there were no boundaries for me. And so I had a love for athletics, and everything I did in school was athletically focused. My grades, I was probably a solid B student except for math with some C's, an A in phys ed, of course, an A in health, of course, but an overall B student. And as I aged and I got into college, I went on a field hockey partial scholarship, and from there I fell in love with the field of health education. And from that point forward, I knew that my passion was going to be teaching, and I would do that until the last day I couldn't work anymore, and that is still true today. But when I came to Pennsylvania, I knew my passion was teaching, but my home would be in Pennsylvania. And it's for the reasons that you just saw with Rick tonight. That's the feeling you get. My energy right now, though, is focused right now towards our outstanding future professionals, our Violet Bumgarner Award winners, and the future professionals. Because in '93, when I came to my first banquet, I was sitting at one of these tables, and I didn't know what to expect. But my goodness, was I hooked. I was hooked from year one. And I was hooked because back then, there were the speeches similar to Rick. There were the feelings of what happens when all these people get in a room together and they sort of share their feelings towards each other and their passion for this profession, but their love for each other. And I couldn't leave. I was teaching in New Jersey, and Linda always said, why are you teaching in New Jersey and coming to Pennsylvania Aford? And I said, because Pennsylvania is my home, and one day that's where I'll be working. And it was only a few short years later. So that's sort of my story. It's not, like I said, it's not exciting, and it doesn't really necessarily lead to teaching, but it was a way for me to get out of my shell and to help to maybe motivate others at some point. The One Ride, I have to mention the One Ride. When I became president in 2012, the One Ride was the commitment that we made, and I'll talk about the we in a minute. There was something going on at the national level, and many of you remember this, and Fran, you were a big part of this, and Irene, you were a big part of this. But school health education had the opportunity to leave Aford and go to another organization. And Pennsylvania said no. And Pennsylvania chewed the ears off Fran, who was on the BOG at the time, soon to become Shape America president, and chewed the ears off Irene, who took the ball and ran with it. And we said school health has to stay here, and we have to stay as one. In Pennsylvania, we are one. We are health and physical education teachers who teach the whole child. Right? That's an amen, Louis, right? Yes. That's an amen. And we're not separating. And it was about a year and a half. And then the revote took place, and school health stayed in Shape America. Now that's a very short story with a lot of other participants, but Pennsylvania had a role in that. And many of us are still sitting here tonight because at the national level, school health is with physical education where it belongs because we all teach both. And that was an exciting accomplishment for me. I mean, awards are very cool, but when you see that people can make a difference and make a change and chart the future in a different way that you think is right and it's the right thing to do, that's been one of my favorite accomplishments with a group of people from Pennsylvania. So with that being said, there's a couple of other people I would like to really thank. I have to talk about Kelly Boyd if we talk about the One Ride. I have to talk about Kelly Boyd. And then I talked about the field of health education. Kelly came to East Stroudsburg University in 2007, and up until that point, I didn't really have a colleague in my age bracket that I could work with, and the people I work with I love. But when she came along, we sort of developed a close relationship professionally and as colleagues and of course as good friends. And when that one ride came on, I asked Kelly to be my project director. And we went to Linda Huber, and we said to Linda in 736 Suite, Linda, what do you think if we ride from Capitol to Capitol, do a bike ride, as Pennsylvania AFER being the liability for this, to see if we can raise some money for childhood obesity and try to get some national recognition. And Linda said, are you, I can't use the words, but are you crazy? Are you crazy? And she goes, Kim, what about the liability? What about the permits? What about the expenses? I don't know if we can do this. This is way out of the box. Well, with the help of everybody in the organization, the volunteers that are too many to name tonight, we did that ride, and we trained for that ride, and people joined that ride. Fran did that ride, and Fran was nervous as hell to do that ride, but she did that ride. And we may have finished that ride because we trained for it, and we're excited, and we advocated, but we finished that ride for only one reason. Because Lou Slaughterback went every mile and provided his snow cones with only cane sugar, and you know what? That is the reason we crossed the finish line. It wasn't physical endurance. So that is obviously a pivotal moment in my career, but that is because of all of you. And the future is with our future professionals, and I have to let them know that when I was sitting where you were, I said, my gosh, I want to be standing up here one day, not so much for the award, but for all the experiences that I got to have in between. And I'm not young, and I'm not incredibly seasoned yet. So my journey is far from over. I have a lot to do. And you're sitting there saying, wow, I have so much ahead of me. I'm going to tell you, it goes so fast. When I look and say 25 years ago, I was driving to Seven Springs with two friends of mine, Kathy Hillman and Tisha Waring, because they were at East Stroudsburg University, and they didn't want to drive at night because their eyes were bad. I'm like, all right. So I drive across the state in one of their cars, because when you're a college student, you don't have a car that can get across the state. And how many of you have driven to Seven Springs, and when you get, it's not always a non-eventful ride. I mean, some of our poor students broke down on the way here this year. We've been in snowstorms, ice storms. You've been almost snowed in. I know back in the day y'all lost electricity right here. Seven Springs is a special place, but when you drive up for the first time at night in snow, it's like a thing out of The Shining. I mean, you drive up, and I'm like, why am I here for a convention? There's a lot of places between here and East Stroudsburg that are a convention, but we're going to go in the back mountains, western Pennsylvania. It's something that looks like where I feel like Jack Nicholson's going to be out there with a knife. But then you walk in, and you start seeing all these people, and you start going to these programs, and you watch the interactions. And I was at Mayford, which is Massachusetts AFER. I don't know if they call it that anymore, but it was a one-day conference. It was like a whatever kind of experience. I come here, and all of a sudden I feel like, you know, my family life is kind of tumultuous, except for my grandmother, Nan, who all of you know, who passed away at 99, who you know is looking down right now going, oh my gosh, another dress, way to go. Because 3 years ago, she was sitting here making fun of me for wearing a dress right at that table, as I was reminded of tonight. So Nan, here's a shout out to you. We miss you, we love you. Cheers. But these people took my grandmother and his family, cheers to Nan, and they took her and his family, they took me and his family, and so this became my chosen family. This has always been my home, it's always going to be my home, and I'm very lucky. So I told you my story very vaguely, not to feel sorry for me, but I am so lucky. I am so lucky to have these people as my friends, as my colleagues, as my family. I have a table in the front, Deb and Audra and Kelly and Irene and Mary Jane, who's in her 50th year of teaching health and physical education. If there's somebody to look up to, she teaches at East Stroudsburg University after 35 years in the public schools as a health and PE teacher and as a supervisor. These are my go-to people. These are my people when I can't cope. They're always there at either a professional or personal level. I am lucky to have been able to do presentations with many of you in the room at the state, regional, national level, and that's always a good time too. And I am so lucky to have 21 students from East Stroudsburg University here tonight who have demonstrated nothing short of complete professionalism at a level that I could have no way demonstrated at 22 years old. So kudos to those individuals sitting there who I know you're going to be amazing because you already are, and you are the future of not only this profession but of this organization if you do choose to remain in Pennsylvania. It is okay to leave, however, you can always come back. Okay, because you all need jobs when you graduate now, here you go. And to all the other college students, pre-professionals listening out there, this is your time. It's still my time because I got a long way to go still. But this is your time as well. And those that are retired, it's still your time because I hear you're going to start up an organization, a committee for retirees to be part of Pennsylvania AFERD. So that's exciting. So as an organization, we're always changing and growing, and I'm excited to see what the future brings. Those of you that know me, and I'm including in just a minute, because the sugar you had at dessert is now settling into a sugar coma, I'm sure. But those of you that know me know that I am a big country music fan, even though I'm from New York. I'm an all-music fan, but I'm a big country music fan. And I heard, when I got this award, the letter in the mail, a new song came out on the radio by Kenny Chesney called Better Vote. Anybody hear it? A couple people have heard it. When I heard that song, I had to pull over on the side of the road because it actually hit me really personally. You have a song that really hits you very personally? Yeah, and I don't sing, so I'm not going to unless I'm in my car. But in those lyrics, you know, it talks about we have moments where you're breathing in and you're breathing out, and you need your friends to talk to so you can sort of get through some moments. And they let you talk about it, and they let you complain. The things that are working, the things that are not working. And what I've learned is you have to learn to let things go. Many of us are perfectionists, and we don't like to let things go, correct? But I've learned through many lessons over the last 25 years that it's okay to do that. And we have to ride the waves we can't control because we can't control everything. And the culminating line of this song is that I'm learning to build a better boat. So my boat is not fully built because I have a lot left to do, but I'm going to keep working at it. I'm going to keep trying, and this award is just a milestone and motivation to keep moving forward. So Pennsylvania AFERD, I promised myself I wouldn't cry, so I won't. This is all of our moments. There's some other people I just want to quickly thank in here that I didn't get to do yet. I'll make sure I did that. I want to reach out to my ESU colleagues in addition to physical education, Gene White. You're always the guy that gives us and says, pal, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. And you've shown us that it ends up always being okay. And over here to my right, Cindy Allen, it's been such a pleasure working with you on the standards. We have so much work to do that we'll get moving forward. And Colleen, I want to give you a big congratulations. You have made this conference one of my favorite conferences. I have felt like we have been unified as one this whole weekend, and you have gone over and beyond every opportunity to make everybody feel good about that. And I hope you've enjoyed your weekend as well, because you had a good time. So what I feel like this weekend for me was a big party, and I got the coolest prize at the end. Thank you very much.